Hey, what's up, guys? It is Ben10000YGO, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero, and I have the scariest Yu-Gi tuber around, Davinator.
Hi. Let's fix my shit here. Does it
Uh,
look better?
so,
Whatever.
so Davinator, this is the first question I want to know: is what made you come up with your channel name? I know your real name is Dave, but like, what was the inspiration, if you don't mind me asking?
Um, it's not nearly as exciting. It's gonna take me longer to say this sentence than it is to explain. Back in high school, I somebody called me it once as like a joke.
Oh, okay. So very much in the kind of in a similar vein of how I ended up with this little theme for my
Yeah,
channel.
it just kind of stuck. And as far as the numbers are concerned, I used to watch a lot of Homestar Runner as a high school student, and at one point, the character Coach Z does a freestyle rap that's particularly awful, and like as he's like hyping himself up at the beginning, he says 1 2 1 2 on count on the beat. And for some reason, that just always kind of stuck in my head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, mine.
Not nearly as interesting as it should be. It's
You know, I thought it was a Terminator reference, to be honest with you, like the movie Terminator.
I mean, I think the person who originally called me that was making a Terminator reference, sure.
Yeah,
But
like legitimately, that's what I thought of. Like when I first came across your channel, I was like, "Is this dude gonna make like Terminator jokes?" I'm waiting for "I'll be back."
no.
Missed opportunity, Dave. Missed opportunity.
Oh, my Arnold Schwarzenegger is not nearly as good as my Christopher Walken, so that's the problem.
Oh, see,
I
mine.
mean, everyone's kind of doing Arnie. It's just kind of as
Yeah.
much as you want, but it's not.
Yeah, it comes out as the what's his name, the general from Fairly Odd Parents. That's what it always comes out as.
Yeah, as a parody of him. It's
Yeah.
never a good impression. It's always a good impression of an impression.
Yeah, that's my Donald Trump impression.
There you go.
It's a impression of Trevor Noah doing the impression. Yeah, you know.
Sometimes it's easier because it's easier to like pick out the intonation when you know that person's voice doesn't sound like that, so you can kind of hear what they're doing and try to mimic it. I've actually found it's easier to do impressions of impressions than it is actually impersonating someone to start with.
So you're familiar with Sam Cox? You guys are on the same team, Bropire, or were for a little while, right?
Yeah, we specifically did not talk very much. It was mostly through Tyler.
Yeah,
but
you're familiar with him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, his favorite thing out of the impressions that I do is the Donald Trump one. He thinks it's hilarious because I'm just like, I'm gonna build a wall. I'm gonna keep out all of the meta players because they're ruining our country. It's like I don't know why. It's like his favorite thing. That's how he remembered me when I reached out for him. Like, oh, you're the Donald Trump guy.
Yeah, that's funny.
I was like, that's not what I want to be known for.
Hey, there's worse things, I suppose.
I mean, at least it's known for an impression, not like being for the guy politically.
Or that are like literally being.
Yeah, there's not much worse than that. So like, you do also a lot of impressions on your channel. Like, I've noticed, like, I think it's you mostly that does in the end card. You do a lot of like impressions of the anime characters. Is that you or
Yes,
is that...
those are mostly me.
Oh, okay. Are any of them Ryan at all?
Ryan did Pegasus.
Ah, okay.
Actually, there's a video on my channel. No one watched it because that's one of my dual bosses. But I go to Comic-Con because there was a Konami side event, and they had some of the voice actors from the anime like signing and doing like a little panel. And the guy who does Pegasus was there, and I had him sign a little thing for Ryan because Ryan always does this Pegasus impression.
Oh,
so that was, yeah. So that one's him, but like all the other ones are me. Like I'll do Merrick, because he's just up in here because you're doing. It's basically a
little Karibo's
little Karibo's Merrick, which is funnier anyway.
Oh man, that's awesome. I like it. I mean, and it goes right back to what you and I were talking about a second ago with the Donald Trump impression. It's an impression of an impression.
Yes.
And is it funny though, like how sometimes the impression is more known than the person they're doing the impression of?
I mean, yeah. Honestly, I couldn't even begin to remember what Merrick actually sounds like.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of unremarkable.
I completely agree. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of the anime, how much of Yu-Gi-Oh did you watch? If you don't mind me, have you seen it all, or only specific seasons? Or
I've only ever watched the original anime,
oh, okay.
Duel Monsters.
Did you watch the whole thing, like all 5 seasons?
Technically, yes. I can. When it was airing on television, was right when I was starting to kind of grow out of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So like, I watched all of it, but my like the later episodes, like the last season, I've like only I think ever seen any one of them once. Like I've seen most of the Duelist Kingdom and Battle City like 5 times through, but like that last season I have a very spotty. I couldn't recall any one card played in the last duel with Yugi and Atem at all.
I'll make it real easy for you. You know everything. Remember from DM, like the early days, like season 1. Just imagine that deck split in half with a few new things here and there.
There you go.
There you go. That's literally all it was. It was like the every card they ever played, then they just Yugi gets this half, Atem gets the other half, and they just duke it out with some, it's like just a list of cards that they've both played. Whether they were combined or that. So that's all you need to know to it. Speaking on that, we've got support for some of Yugi's archetypes besides the Dark Magician. Do you think that this is something that I think is interesting? Does it feel like Konami is trying to make like every little tiny archetype in Yugi's deck its own separate archetype, like they did with Dark Magician? They've got the Blackluster Soldier, they've got the Magnet Warriors, and now it looks like Gaia is getting his own archetype outside of just being correlated with BLS. So do you think that's something that Konami's going to do, is just going to make like whole archetypes around every monster?
I mean, yeah, they even gave Curse of Dragon some weird legacy support. Whether they ever intend them to be all their own decks or just mushed together or whatever is, up for debate. But, I mean, yeah, because they want to make money. And
right.
One would assume that, slapping a legacy monster on a card is a good way to sell a product because people like nostalgia. I think that's really... and the best part about legacy support is you don't have to make it good to sell it. You can actually make it shitty and bad, and people still buy it because there's like collectors want it and stuff. So like you don't have to worry about like releasing a card that's gonna break your meta and screw everything up. You actually have to do R&D about it to make sure it's not broken. You can just print it, make it bad, and then you don't have to worry about not selling it. It's brilliant. It's also the worst because
so basically they just take advantage of the collector's market.
Yeah, and anime weebs who just want to play a shitty anime deck.
I wouldn't know anyone like that.
Hey, I love Harpies is one of my favorite archetypes, and they've been getting really, really awful support for years because they know people are just going to buy it. They're not going to actually make it good. The synchro they just got is actually uncharacteristically okay, which is like,
I got a giggle out of the summoning condition. It was like, oh yeah, you don't actually need a tuner, just 2 harpy ladies. Voila.
I'm actually flabbergasted about that. I wholly expected them to give us like a shitty level 1 tuner that you were intended to use with the dragon, because what else would they have done?
And instead they went the route of like, you don't need anything else.
It's really just it's basically just a link too, and it's like, oh, okay, thanks for actually giving us throwing a bone here.
I don't even know what the monster's effect is, to be honest. I just saw the summoning condition and then I stopped reading.
It lets you bounce stuff anytime something's activated, so it's basically like a
it's a compulse on legs.
It's a compulse on legs. It's really good. It's a quick effect, and
okay, so
because it's a level 8, it accidentally works with some of the Harpy Lady Sisters support that we got in that deck builder set.
Okay.
Because the deck builder set just specifies level 6 or higher Harpy card, and everyone's like, okay, clearly that's meant for Harpy Lady Sisters because that's how all of those cards like Perfumer and stuff work. But like, it kind of accidentally works for the synchro, and it's actually really good.
Oh.
It makes a more cohesive strategy.
Yeah. So basically, they gave a bad archetype one decent card, essentially.
Basically, I mean, there's bones there because you got like Hysteric Sign searches your like 5 copies of your entire fucking deck or whatever. But like, it's mostly just fan support. Like they always give decks, and it's not gonna break anything.
Yeah. That was kind of where I was kind of questioning, because I know like Dark Magician had a card that kind of broke the meta a little bit with Souls. So.
I mean, yeah, and I think that's definitely the exception to the rule. That never happens, and I think the reason why is, like I said before, it's R&D is hard, and you have to like test the card versus all 10,000 other cards in the game to make sure it doesn't create some broken ass dumb loop that the players are going to abuse. Yeah. So if you're going to every time they print a new card, they have to make this they actually have to test and try to figure out what people are going to do with it, in an attempt to make sure that it doesn't just destroy everything. So when you make legacy support, it is just easier to make it bad. But the problem with Dark Magician is the deck is a bunch of back row that circles around one particular level 7 vanilla monster with lackluster stats. So they have to, every Dark Magician card in a bubble is disgustingly powerful because he doesn't do anything. So they have to constantly just give him these stupid cards to try to prop the deck up, because he himself doesn't do anything. Because when you look at like Blue Eyes and Red Eyes, or Blue Eyes and Dark Magician, they have a completely different design strategy. Blue Eyes is like, well, you just make Blue Eyes along the way, and then you synchro it away or whatever. Yeah. It's just a body. You make it, you circulate crazy, you play it all the time, but it's just a body. Yeah. Oh, it's a dragon deck, so it just works. But Dark Magician focuses so much on putting that stupid vanilla on board that they basically had to make a bunch of broke fusions to say, oh yeah, I pretend to be Dark Magician because because he himself doesn't do anything. So
I completely agree. I personally, here's the thing that irks me about a lot of like Dark Magician and Red Eyes. You look at the Blue Eyes alternative dragon, right? That's how I think that they should have done, like, alternative Red Eyes, and like I think he's called like the Dark Illusion Magician or something. It's the one where you activate a trap card and he's Dark Magician on the field.
Modi, Magician of.
No, not him. The other level 7 that's in the Dark Magician. He's like, I don't remember what he's named. He's something Illusion. He's a dark. Okay. He's got the reverse stats. He's got 29 turn attack, 25 defense. He's like,
yeah, I think he's Modi, right? Where he specializes himself in defense position.
Yeah,
he casts the Dark Magician. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so the
Magician of Dark Illusions.
Yeah, something. Yeah, that I could not remember his name for the life of me. I just remember it had illusion in the name. But the point is,
I remember the acronym before I remembered its name.
That's why I got confused. I was like, it's an acronym? What? Oh man, you pulled a Rhoda on me, like back when I didn't know what that meant.
It's apparently a thing. It's been on my list of lists to do at some point, is like a player jargon, because it's unintentional gatekeeping for the newer player base that I think we just all take for granted. We know it's spin, bounce, mill. These are just terms we throw around like everyone knows what they mean, and it's actually all gibberish. So it's it's player slang essentially. Yeah. But on the Dark Magician thing, like I think that these cards that would have been a lot better. Like Dark Magician would have been, I wouldn't say it'd be tier like 1, not even close. Maybe it'd be a low end tier 2 if that Magician I think worked better like alternative dragon instead of, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, yeah, it's also a little bit. The deck was much better when the cards were revealed as well back in the day.
Power creep's a thing too.
Then we also had 3 Upstart Goblin, which made Magician Circle much more powerful because you could play it, add your Dark Magician card of the 3 cards you excavated, and then stack your deck back, and then Upstart whatever broke card you top decked yourself with. It actually worked really well when we had 3 Upstarts. Because I remember me and Ryan were testing it years ago, and it was like, oh, this actually kind of functions. And then they put it to 1, and I was like, oh, now it's bad. So like,
yeah.
But no, we've since gotten like Dragoon and what's the other fucking thing's name?
Dragoon. That's a good topic.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dragoon's a good thing for us to ask you questions about. What are your opinions on this monster? I think that I would. I'll be honest with you. If that card never saw the light of day here in the TCG, I would not have cared at all.
We haven't gotten him yet, right? I think he's a He's in the Megatons or something?
Yeah, he comes
Is that
in
what
the
they're doing?
Yeah, later in the year, this year, they're supposed to release him in the Megatons. I think in like October or something like that. I think.
Which that tracks because they tend to do those big stupid chase cards as like promos to sell the tins.
Yeah.
Can't target him or destroy him. He has a quick effect pop. And he just burn damage like a fucking dick.
Yeah. He's literally he's just another like, all right, that fusion monster as much
And he
as
gets a negate. Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Not to
It's been a while
mention
since
he also gets big. Like he gets like, I think if he destroys something, he gets like or negates something, he gets like 1,000 points. I don't remember exactly.
Yes, if he negates something, he gains 1,000 attack power, and it's permanent.
Yeah. So this guy gets like 4,000, like pretty much right off the bat, unless you kaiju his sorry ass.
I mean, he's very powerful. I wouldn't say that he's particularly any more broken than half of the unkillable, stupid boss monsters we have in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They all really come down to it's either you kaiju him or you don't, because you can't destroy it or anything.
Yeah. Or you gotta play something like Super Poly or Dark Ruler.
Yeah, what makes him kind of a pain in the ass is he's a little easy to make, because I think you can make him with Red Eyes Fusion.
Yeah, you can make him.
I mean, it's the only thing you can do that turn, but it's the only thing you need to do that turn. So it's like you just play a spell card and you summon him. That is kind of stupid, granted. So if anything, his biggest problem is the fact how easy he is to make, not necessarily what he does.
Yeah. Also, I think there's a combo with Anaconda, the Protoplant Link monster.
Something like it, yeah.
Where they can just where they can kind of bypass that summon limitation. I think.
Because I think they're not making it with Red Eyes Fusion.
Yeah, I think that was the ruling that I think Tombox did it. I don't remember.
Because they're dumping Red Eyes Fusion.
Yeah, I think Anaconda.
And then he gains its effect or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of crazy rulings with Anaconda. Like a lot of people think that when it copies Super Poly, it can. It's like you can't respond to this, and it's like no, that's not how that works. Super Poly says you can't respond to it. Anaconda is just copying the ability to fuse with the opponent's monsters.
Yes.
So, that's kind of how it gets around it. Because it's basically just letting you fuse from the deck, without any of the restrictions. And I just wondered if, you had any in particular. Like, you really just think that that's the only problem with it? Is its ease of summon?
It's easy to summon. I mean, it does a lot, but again, honestly, a lot of decks, especially rogue decks, just kind of lose to it. Mm-hmm. But they also just kind of lose to Ultimate Falcon or to Towers, or it's like some decks just don't have the ability to, especially from coming from a behind position, to muster an offense against some big, stupid, untargetable thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just a problem for a rogue deck. Like,
so
presumably,
presumably,
if you're playing something a little more meta, you probably aren't going to have much of a problem with it. I mean,
I don't know. I had a problem fighting it when I was playing dinosaurs. So,
granted, but you're also not necessarily building your and tooling your deck in order to have an out to it. Yeah. Like,
it's basically draw my kaiju or my miscellaneous with Oviraptor, and if I don't have that combo, I mean, they just win.
And some people don't like the idea that there's one or two cards in the meta that actually inform deck building. Mm-hmm. Like, some people hate Mech C, not because it's broke or whatever, but because if it's in the meta, you need to build around it, because it's such a powerful card that it informs deck building. I don't have a personal problem with that. I think it's kind of neat, because honestly, the more closer to a tier 0 format you are, the easier it is to decide, because you don't have to guess what your opponent's going to be playing. You just know, they're going to be making Dragoon, so I just need to play an out to it, and then I win, because everyone's just doing that. And it's easy to beat when everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's better to play Rogue in a tier 0 format than it is to play it in a diverse format, because tons of lower tier decks have great matchups against, let's say, the tier 1 deck, but have awful matchups against all the other jank everyone's playing. Because
it's true.
Even though those formats are way fun. It's a much more interesting tournament experience, but it's not if you're trying to win, I think is probably what I'm trying to say, is that it's easier if you know what you're going to be playing against every round.
Right. I just to say, and I was gonna add to that point that you know, about like, you know, you're good against this one particular deck. Like, so for example, I had for a little while online, I had like a Layer of Darkness Dark Magician deck that was it was a meme deck. The point was to be funny.
I mean, I get where you're going with it.
Yeah. You summon Dark Magician, you use Lilith to get you the epidemic virus or whatever, and then you take away all their spells or traps. Sure. And I could easily hurt Eldritch with that, because I would just, okay, trap cards, and then their whole hand goes away.
Yes.
And then, you know, they would have nothing to work with. And that was the funny thing. But if I went up against Adamantivator...
It didn't do anything. Yeah.
It didn't do did. Exactly. There's not even a virus. Like, there's other viruses, obviously, in the game that target monsters, but none of them are as good as Eradicator. Like, nothing just says, oh yeah, get rid of
Eradicator is societally the best one. It's just it's very dependent on what your opponent's playing. Like, OG Crush card would be, I think, generally better in most cases, but like, it wouldn't necessarily be in a apples to apples scenario where it's like Crush card versus a deck it's good against, and Eradicator versus a deck it's good against. Eradicator will always be better against that deck than Crush card ever could be, because sending all my monsters in my graveyard is like, okay, yeah, it's annoying, but I might be able to do something. But just nuking my spells is in my spell cast or in my like Sky Striker deck is like, oops, like I guess I just lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like,
absolutely, it is very much. I completely agree. Like, I remember I used to play Lightsworn, and people would crush card me. I'd just laugh, send Wolf, and be like, oh look, I'm plus.
Yeah, technically it is. It is making you make a weird. It's putting you in a weird game state, because like you don't have a normal summon anymore, and that's a little strange. But it's certainly not turning your deck off by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and I think that's the weaknesses of the virus cards, because a lot of them, like especially in today's game, because we've evolved so much. I mean, look at things like Geeky and I mean, there's like dinosaurs. There's like there's tons of these, like Phantom Knights, Burning Abyss, all these different decks now. That just, you sent all my monsters to the graveyard? Well, watch this.
Yeah, I mean, hot take, I think they could have just unbanned regular Crush card without the errata, and it probably would see just as much play as Eradicator does. It's just a one-off, like in a meme trap deck. Yeah, I don't think people would use it. Now it's unplayable. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I had somebody resolve it against me when I was playing Cosmos. Oh. And the language of the errata says your opponent may destroy 3 cards in their deck. Like, first of all, giving your opponent the option to do it basically means it's a non-effect. Because they're just not going to do it unless it's my case where I'm playing Cosmos and I sent like a Dark Destroyer and a Forerunner and something else, and they all just float because they don't specify where they're destroyed in order to get their floating effect. So I'm like, oh, thanks, bro. Like,
yeah, now they're staring down 3 giant ships and they're like, oh.
Like, why would you resolve that against me? And it's like, it's funny too, because it's like, you know, destroying a card in the deck is like an effect that just doesn't happen. So like nothing does that. Like, mill, yes, destroy, no. Hand is rare, but deck is even rarer. So that's like really funny.
Or they do it to like, I think this works on with Shadal's too, right? I'm pretty sure that like if they
I think they got to be sent by card effect. They can't just be rolled.
So yeah, but the Crush card destroys them in the deck, so that counts, right?
I think so. I haven't played Shadal's in.
Right, but that's just an example. Well, all right. So scrap Shadal's BA. There you go. Go ahead, because we know that'll work.
That'll work. Yes.
Yeah. So go ahead, Crush card me if I was a BA player, and then I'd just be like, oh look, now I get surges and pluses, and oh look, I got banish that.
Whether it was the original or the new one. BA probably wouldn't care one way or the other.
Yeah, and that's just wild. Although, so are there any other erratas that you think that didn't need to happen? Like the card just kind of got power crept and Konami just like overextended? Like, I think Ring of Destruction's not that bad.
Ring of Destruction's okay.
Like, I mean OG Ring of Destruction. I don't mean the errated one. I think it was...
I honestly think either is fine. I think they might have gone a little overboard. I think you should still be allowed to kill your opponent with it. I don't think you can anymore. I think it has to be exact or it doesn't work or something like
Yeah.
that.
And you take the damage first, I think, too. So.
And that's okay. If you always told me, like, sure, they just eroded it, so you just blanket take the damage first, I think it would still function mostly the same way it's always been played.
Yeah.
It would, which I think is just, it would just alleviate a draw, and I think that's really all anyone would care about, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't like what they did to Chaos Emperor Dragon. They made him unplayable.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They went a little overboard.
And he doesn't take out the whole hand anymore, does he? I don't recall.
No, I think he does. I think he nukes everything still. It's just
you can't do anything afterwards. I do know that.
Yeah, you literally can't use an effect the turn you use his effect.
Yeah.
So which makes him unplayable because it's like there's no way of getting a light and dark in your grave and activate nothing. Like how did you set up your graveyard if like you didn't do anything? Like it's extremely unlikely. So they just made him like a turn 3 play, and that's just bad in Yu-Gi-Oh.
So I know you like Yu-Gi-Oh. Do you like anything else that's kind of geeky, or is Yu-Gi-Oh just? Are you kind of like in the vein of like Slim, where like Yu-Gi-Oh is your one geek type thing?
Well, I mean, I also play the card game Keyforge, which
I've never heard of, to be honest.
It's the best side chick card game in existence.
Side chick card game.
It is because
Sorry, I get a giggle out of the way you worded that. Sometimes I'll just
the way the game works, and here I'm going to try to sell you on this game, is you buy decks as booster packs. This deck is 36 cards plus one your avatar card called your Archon. It's basically just you. It has your deck list on it. Your deck is literally written on the back of your deck, and you can't change it. This is made by a computer algorithm. Your deck works the way it works. It can never be changed. It can never be traded. I mean, you can trade it if you want, but you have to trade the entire deck. You can't deck build at all in this game. Okay. You crack the deck and you play it. It plays like Magic. You have you have 3 houses. These are like your colors. But you have no mana. It's just any one turn you can only declare one of your 3 houses, and you can play every card or use any card on your field of those 3 houses. So it plays like Yu-Gi-Oh in the sense that as long as you can do it, you can just play as much as garbage as you want. But it also plays like Magic because it's by limiting you to some sort of color. And every card in the game is absolutely broken. So no card is broken, and there's almost no quick play effects. So
okay. Do they have anything like attributal themes, like you can have all monsters that look like they're made out of fire or dragons or something like that?
Yeah, the houses are decidedly broken. Like this particular deck, for instance, is Untamed Dis and Logos. Logos are like a futuristic sentient robot race. The Dis are extra dimensional demons, and Untamed is basically it's a green deck, so it's like beasts and stuff that are native to the planet.
Nature-esque.
Yeah, it's native to the planet that the lore takes place on.
Okay.
And it's fun too, because like I said, an algorithm builds your deck. It also names your deck. This one is O'Reilly, Stalwart, Void, Death Knight, whatever.
That's a mouthful.
in the game, like they didn't censor the algorithm at all, so it was giving some people some particularly great deck names that are now illegal because I won't say any of them here.
Okay. I mean, I'm not a monetized channel yet, but thank you.
a couple of raunchy words got stuck into the computer somewhere, and it was making some pretty fun decks. But no, it's a fun game. I think the cool part about it is the card pool for every new set contains some old cards, some new cards, but they claim that every deck is relatively evenly powered, whether it's from the first set of the game or the last set that's ever been printed. There's a bell curve, obviously. Some are statistically a little bit stronger than others, but most decks sit right in the top of that bell curve. So in theory, you could only ever invest $10 to play the game if you didn't care about ever playing another deck. So it's a great.
So if I had if they made like a dragon-esque deck, then I would be like, oh look, this is my deck, and I don't ever have to get a new one.
No, and you almost don't even need to keep up with the game at all. Like you just go to a tournament and just play it, and somebody plays a card you've never seen before. You're like, man, whatever, who cares? Because
everything's broken.
Everything's broken. So it's like I said, it's a great side chick game because
I'm sorry, I can't get over
very
that.
it's low maintenance. You just
Yeah.
buy a deck every once in a while, fuck around with it. It's fun.
Yeah, side chick game. I'm sorry, I just got a chuckle out of that. So,
Missed.
I had a question. This one's a bit of on a personal side. Do you have a significant other?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. Well, then never mind. That removes my next question then. Because, then I do have one then that can pertain to that. You've probably had ex-girlfriends, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right. So how did any of them take your Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi tubing or any of that? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I haven't been doing it long enough to have it spill over more than one relationship.
Okay.
My previous, or I guess previous implies that there was one before, but the last person I have dated, I guess is the way I want to say that.
Yeah.
She tolerated it well enough. She was in a couple of my videos once in a while. She actually did Mai's end card for me.
Okay.
She liked the fact that I had a creative hobby. She did not like the fact that it took up a lot of my time.
Ah, that's fair.
She tolerated it well enough. Self-admittedly, she said that she would be a bitch about it and hope I would quit, and then I didn't, and then she ended up being kind of proud of me for it.
That's kind of interesting. Since we're on that topic, I've had a very similar experience. I had an ex-girlfriend who played Magic the Gathering, and she, this is when I was starting up this channel. All right, so this was I want to say 2017, maybe 2016.
Okay.
When I was just starting up this channel before it became the Ben 10 channel. So it was some janky name like the Chaotic Dragon or something like that. No roll off the tongue at all.
Nice, very weeby of you.
Yes, well, I'm a big geek, so very fitting. But she, I think that I do know that the whole YouTube thing was definitely a contention in my relationship with her, because she would have been fine if all I did was play Yu-Gi-Oh. What she didn't like was that I tried to make YouTube videos about it, because it's a time-consuming thing.
For Kate, it was either a one or the other. I think she would have been okay with, but the fact that one kind of requires the other, I can't just talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, then I'll be one of those channels that hits 10,000 and stops because it's clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about. So you actually have to play the game to be able to have any kind of
insight on it.
Insight on it. Otherwise you're constantly talking from an extremely casual position, which isn't necessarily bad.
Right.
It's just that I think it seems like even casual players appreciate when the person on their little screen seems to know what they're talking about. A sense of professionalism, I guess. I don't know. They seem to appreciate it. So you have to play the game, and that is a humongous time sink. Yeah. I was always about the money thing because the channel pays for itself. I can probably say in the last 6 years I haven't spent any of my own actual money on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Anything the channel's earned, I've just dumped it back into buying cards if I ever needed anything. So
because it wasn't you have a day job.
It wasn't like I was spending any real money on it per se. So that wasn't the problem. The problem was just that it was a humongous time sink.
Yeah, that was definitely a point of contention for my relationship, because she would be like, "Why aren't you paying attention to me?" And then I would be like, "I got to make this video," and she would also. And I'm not gonna say her name because my audience never met her, so that's fine. But she would I would try to record things, and then she would always constantly interrupt. Did you ever experience anything like that?
No. Like I said, it was mostly it was pretty passive aggressive for her to. She didn't actively try to screw it up, and I did include her in a lot of it, so I think that helped. She enjoyed helping when it was something kind of silly that wasn't really
like a skit or something like what Tyler does.
That stuff.
The fun stuff,
which actually I would probably rather be making. They're a lot more work and no one watches them, which is so there's no reward to it. But it is more fun for the creator to make. My News Geo, I love my News Geo segment. It's the most
that's actually one of my favorite segments that you make, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's one of my most produced segments too. Like, I'm doing a set and things, and
You got a
like,
green screen, yeah.
yeah, like I go all out for it. Like I'll do a shoot on location, to make some joke or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of freaking work, but it's a lot of fun to do. But
No
one watches it. So like, so whatever.
Yeah, I kind of had to go the MBT route with skits. So I only do a skit if it pertains to like a deck profile, because that's that's my creative outlet. So like, I think,
to bookend another video with it.
yeah. So like
That's
basically,
what I'm doing actually, because
yeah, that's just the strategy that I have discovered that works for me. Like, and I think it works for MBT as well. Joseph, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with him.
yeah, I watch his stuff.
Yeah. So, like, he does more... I think he does more clever humor. I'm very slapsticky. So, like, if we were stand-up comedians, I think that he would be a very, like MBT would be very, like, a suave, kind of smooth comedian. He makes clever jokes. And,
Or observational.
yeah, they're very observational. He'd be like, might be like someone like what's his name? Like George Carlin or whatever.
Fair enough.
Only with less mean. And then I'm more of like a Jack Black, Robin Williams type of sense of humor, where I just get wacky.
A little more physical.
Yeah, like a lot of my jokes are me getting tossed around by Yu-Gi-Oh monsters. Like legitimately, like I did a collab with another small Yu-Gi tuber, and I made a dinosaur video. And
Okay.
the idea was he wanted me to limit, he wanted me to use the OCG hits on dinosaur just to see if it'd still work.
Okay.
So, what I did is for the skit part of it is I act like I have pet raptors, named Sheila and Blue, and you don't see them, but you hear them. I use Jurassic Park sound effects to do that. So you hear crash, and you hear the the noise that they make, and then I'm like, no, you put that. I gotta go handle that, and then that's the little skit there. Is they just see me fly onto the camera. Ah, well, no treats for you.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah, and and my audience just gets a huge chuckle out of that. I think they just like to see me in pain. I don't know why, because
It works.
Every time I do these skits, I always end up hurting myself. I'm not even kidding. Like legitimately, one time in one of my skit videos, I'm walking to the door like I'm really trying to do like a cool moment, and I tripped over my own feet legitimately, and I was like, well, it's funny, so I left it in.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's the best.
Oh man.
I've had a couple videos where I unintentionally did something silly, or I made a mistake or whatever. It ended up being funny, so I just left it in.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like you were saying, to go back to topic, yeah, the skits are and that's the thing, is the Yu-Gi-Oh news is one of my favorite things because it's hilarious. But I, obviously I'm probably the minority. Everyone else is like, Dave, just shut up and tell me the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, right?
Well, it's not even that, because like getting one of the biggest hurdles of a Yu-Gi or any YouTuber, frankly, is if you get known for something, it's hard to do anything else, because people they won't even give it a chance. They will just simply not click it. Like, they're like, that's not what I subscribed for. I just will not watch that. And you know what? I get it, because if I'm watching a YouTuber of some kind and he produced some video and I really liked it and I subscribed for that video, if I see him make a different video that's not what I subscribed for, I probably won't watch it, because it's not what I'm here for. I mean, I like to make an effort because I know the struggle, but and it's annoying, especially when you see someone like they have like a passion project and like everyone's like, boo, like it's like, oh, come on, you really enjoyed it, like please click it. Like,
see if you like it. That's another thing like that I wish audiences would do. I get it. Like, it'd be like if I stopped doing the Ben 10 thing. You know what I mean? Like on my skip videos, I stop, slapping the watch and then turning into an Elemental Hero Neos that sounds like he's voiced by Johnny Bravo.
Sure.
I literally did that, by the way. That is something I did. I slapped the watch, and then you see a PNG of Neos where I was standing, and he goes, Elemental Hero Neos. That's my wacky sense of humor. But that, but and I do have audiences that are like they really like the behind the screen, which is what this is, obviously, and then or they really like my skits, and they're either here for one or the other. So, I mean, they're both pretty popular on my channel, especially depending on the tuber. Like MBT broke records for this series.
Yeah, the other advantage is if you like, had I known when I was a smaller channel,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have done it sooner, so that
You would just be part of your repertoire.
it would be part of my repertoire. And because when you get big, like, or bigger rather, people start to expect a certain thing from you, so it's hard to do any kind of lateral shift.
Yeah. Actually, I have experienced that on a smaller scale. Now I think about it, I used to do this thing. I did this thing where before the new mecha, the damn it, Machina structure deck, the new one that came out. Before that came out, I did a series called the Structure Deck Wars, which was a lot of work, and I had to organize with like various friends and Yugi2 teammates to get it to go. And it was basically what we would do is each of us would pilot the structure deck, and we would see who wins, and we did like a whole tournament. And now there's people who are like, when are you going to do the next structure deck wars? And I'm like, probably never. I don't, and I'm not saying never, like, obviously, but it's a very time consuming. Like, some of those videos could be like 20 minutes. It's fucking crazy because I have to explain the deck, why this deck won, what was the advantage of deck A versus deck B.
Oh yeah, and like,
yeah,
there is a effort versus reward problem.
Yeah.
Long form content. If it's not successful, you sunk a lot of hours into making something that no one watched.
Yeah.
Like even my list videos, which are by far the most popular thing I do on my channel, they end up being about 22 minutes, 23 minutes on average. It's normally from 45 to 1 hour's worth of raw footage chopped down to a 23-minute video, and then like I'll stick jokes and crap in it, and that literally take me days to do. Like if I like was to actually lap them together, I bet you it takes me probably close to 8-9 hours total to make a 20-minute video like that. And that's just the ones that like I do as much as I possibly can. Like once a week, because
no, I'm right there with you. Like legitimately, the video that went up today, as of this recording, that took literally a whole day. It took the whole Wednesday to make that video. Just because a lot of people forget like all the little edits you have to make, and then you're also limited by whatever programs and tools you have. So like, I use
Premiere and it works really well. But like, I still got to render.
But I have Windows Movie Maker, so for me it takes twice as long to do the same.
But no,
thing.
I still got to render the video out, and like, it's even if I'm not technically working, I'm just staring at this render tool, like printing my video. That still takes an hour to do. So it's like it tacks on time where it's like, I have a full-time job. I got to go to bed at some point. I can't, just do this from the time I get home to the time I go to sleep. Like, I need to eat at least, take a shower, try to be a human. So like,
gotta try to hang out with friends, so like have relationships, that kind of thing. You gotta live.
Yeah, I gotta live. So, and that's actually another thing. But yeah, no. So there's a lot of time sink that you don't see on the back end.
Yeah.
Like I envy some of the younger Yugi tubers a lot, because I'm 30, so I have a full-time job. I have a full-time job. Life, an apartment by myself, or I pay for. So I have an entire
and you live in New York, right?
Yeah, I live in specifically Queens, but yes.
Yeah, but the point is, you live as one of the most expensive states to live in. Is the point that I'm getting at.
Easily. If I would say that all my bills together probably sit around $2,000 a month. Like, it's stupid to live here. It really is. I can't honestly figure out why I continue to do it, other than that at this point I'm kind of stuck because like I don't have any money.
Yeah. Yeah,
so, like,
thank you, Crush Card Virus, for that.
I'm just breaking even. But like
But you have to have your job, and you have to have your YouTube. You have to, to combine to do that, right?
Yeah, I have a lot. It's a lot of time to spent doing what is essentially work. And the younger guys, they did like a lot of those guys like got really big because they were like doing it during college, where they didn't really have anything else to do. I mean, they do, but they don't. Like,
like DZ, for example. I know he was doing it when he was in his college.
Yeah,
years.
and he didn't have anything to do. Like maybe, like maybe he was working a part-time job or whatever. Fuck it. Like he didn't have anything to do. So like I really wish I had taken advantage when I had that kind of free time where I wasn't expected to be just working 8 hours, 9 hours a day, and then try to do this. Because growing a channel when you have a full-time job it's hard. And
it absolutely is. I agree. I have a similar.
And it doesn't make enough money to replace your full-time job.
No.
Like. It does. I could move out west and live in the boonies somewhere where no one lives and it costs a nickel to own an apartment. I could do that, yes. But I would have to like go and do it. Like it was just So it's like, and that's the problem with YouTube in general is it's there is no pay scaling. It's not like. I live in New York, so YouTube gives me more money. No, it gives me the same money as I would be making in the middle of nowhere.
In Texas, like where I live.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's just whatever ad revenue you make. So,
and every YouTuber, or hell, just every YouTuber, yes, you can make YouTube a job, but the thing is it's a lot of work. You have to throw as much time as you do to any job. Like you got to throw 8-9 hours into your day job, right? If you want to do that with YouTube, you have to do the same thing. And now try to get to that point while you also have to do what you do. You have to do
because I gotta live, and YouTube doesn't make much money until you start getting like stupid huge, and you're pulling in a bajillion views every video, and
or you have like an audience that really likes what you do, so they support you with like Patreon or merch sales, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I mean. My subscriber to dollar amount is so much better on Patreon. It's ridiculous. Like, because like one sub clicks my video, it makes me like a cent or something stupid. But you get that same one person can be giving me $1 a month. So that like that kind of power is 1,000 times more impactful. I find myself right now. I'm currently in this no man's land with the channel where it's like. It's making enough to be worth doing, and it would be a substantial financial hit for me to stop. But it also doesn't make it. But it doesn't make enough to replace my income. Yeah. So it's like, if I just got a little bigger, I could do it. But it's like,
would you dare to say that like you're experiencing like a glass ceiling, if you will, kind of with the channel?
100%. Like there is a level of YouTube does not help you at all. Like I lost 25 subscribers or something. Like normally it's a general creep up, but to actually see a loss is pretty crazy. And like I had COVID-19 and I was sick for 2 weeks and I couldn't post any content and I lost subs. So it's like,
which makes no sense. Like why would you leave when everyone knows you're sick? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, they don't know whether they do or not. I just don't understand why it's like, he didn't post a video for a while. Better unsub. Like I don't get whatever. Like I personally can't see myself going so out of my way to do that. But it is what it is. It also could just be YouTube culling bad accounts, but like which means that at the very least my channel just isn't growing in that period because I'm not posting content, so no one new is seeing videos, so no one new is subscribing, so the only change I'm seeing is like the dead accounts getting just deleted. So it's like it's frustrating because it's like I have a full-time job and even when I'm healthy and I can't sink enough time into the channel, it would be physically impossible for me to make a video every day. They would have to be shitty. They'd have to be so bad, like no editing, 5 minutes long. Like to appease the YouTube algorithm would be physically impossible for somebody working a different job.
Yeah.
So like it really is like a 20-somethings in college's like place to succeed because it's.
I have had a similar experience because I used to work for I'm gonna just say it. I mean, what are they gonna do to me? No one at my old job's gonna see this anyway. I used to work for Walmart.
Fair
like,
enough.
Back in like 2012,
Mhm.
and that's when I started doing YouTube, like YouTube, and I was in college. And needless to say, that you were talking about doing a full time job. Well, Walmart is a sneaky little bitch because what they do is they will find ways to make you work longer and pay less. They literally that is like make their business model to make their employees work longer and
So much money.
yeah, that's literally how they did it. They did it on the back, basically by cheating out their employees, essentially. And they did that with me. And I was a cart pusher, so basically what I did is my job was to go collect them out of the parking lot, bring them back to the front. And a lot of people think that that's an easy job. It's not. It's very
I used to do it at a grocery store when I was in high school.
yeah, it's very physically demanding. And
Well, it's also like it completely. I live in New York, so like weather is all over the place.
yeah,
So sometimes it'll be 90 something, 100 degrees out in the summer, and it's like that's the worst because
yeah.
I want to die. Or I'm under a foot of snow, so it's like, which makes it physically impossible to push a cart because
Yeah.
they don't go through snow very well. So that job blows. It's
And I did it for like yeah, and I did it for like 2.5 years. It was so bad. And for Walmart, a company that does not treat its employees, I don't even know why I stayed so long. I really have no clue. Like I literally could have just worked anywhere else, probably made more money, and not been anywhere near as taxing on my body. Or if it was, it would have at least the money would have been worth it.
Yeah, I know, but there is something to be said about where even no matter how crappy your job is, like
Mhm.
leaving and getting a new one
Mhm.
is a huge thing to do. So like it's not as easy as just go get a different job. Like you
Yeah.
gotta interview, you gotta look around. Like it takes effort and time, and you know,
And
kind
on
of
top of that, you're already exhausted from pushing.
yeah. That was my point. Is that it's kind of counterintuitive. Like the shittier your job, the less likely you are to look for a new one because you're just so emotionally and physically spent that you just don't want to do it. You want to
Yeah.
you don't want to be bothered with looking for a different one.
Yeah, and that's what happened with my YouTube channel.
Employees just break them down so they have no will to leave.
Yeah, they don't have the power to get up and go find a new job at the end of the day. That's literally what Walmart did to me. And it got so bad that it killed my first Yu-Gi-Oh attempt at a channel. So when so when I came back in 2016 to try again, I just said fuck it, I'm gonna make a whole new channel, and there went my Weeb Dragon channel.
There you go.
And then eventually somebody made a Ben 10 joke at me, and I was like, I'm gonna do that because Tyler quit for a minute, and I was like, YouTube needs a funny guy, so now I have a gimmick where I slap the watch and turn into Yu-Gi-Oh monsters and make silly voices,
Yeah.
or get slapped around by them because I have bad choices in pets.
I'm actually surprised that Tyler decided to come back. He was pretty adamant about not doing that.
Yeah, and I noticed lately he's been kind of slacking in the content making, because I think he's frustrated because his skits aren't getting the views that he used to get.
Oh, I could have told him that. Like, yeah, if you want to watch that stuff,
Yeah.
content you worked really hard on? Nah, absolutely not.
No, but a deck profile.
The deck profile that you just recorded YGO Pro and it's completely unedited. Million views.
That's why I took that strategy a step further and said, you know what? I'm just gonna. There you go.
If that's gonna give me views, I'm gonna at least try to have some fun with it because,
Yeah.
dear God, it's the worst.
and not every deck will get you the views. Like you got to make something that either is meta relevant or is a fan favorite deck.
And then even then, it's still seemingly kind of random. Like one of the first videos when I first started the channel that ever blew up on my channel was a Toon deck profile. Like who the fuck cares? Like
Mine was heroic, not heroes.
Like,
heroic, like the heroic champions.
Who the fuck wants to play that? I mean, sure. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. But I can't believe that anyone gives a shit. Like that's.
Yeah. I mean, like, and at least Toons make some semblance. There's like, there's Pegasus.
Deck, but it's still everyone knows it's fucking terrible. So like, I don't know why.
But that's what I'm saying is like that's the thing that I have as an outside. What it looks like to me I'm just looking at my own analytics on this one. The decks that I know to get a lot of views are things that have fan favorites. Heroes, Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, all the weeb decks, if you
Yeah, the
will.
Weebs tend to do okay. At very least, they tend to do okay.
Yeah, but if I made a Crusadia deck, nobody would watch that. Nobody.
No.
They'd be like, Crusadia? No, is that that's an engine? That's not a deck.
One player that was trying to make it would be very thankful that someone gave a damn and made a deck. But
Yeah.
I'll hold out. Yeah, no one will watch it.
Yeah, and so I think it's kind of interesting. You and I have very similar experiences.
I think it's just kind of how YouTube goes. Like,
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, this series has been like one of the things that's been keeping me sane because like I have seen like 2 friends and since this whole like COVID situation started. So
at least some interactivity with other people.
yeah, so like that's what this series has actually kind of I feel like it's saved my sanity a little bit. I don't know about you, because I think I actually did watch your video where you talked about your experience. Do you want to kind of touch on that a little bit here?
I mean, check in if you
Yeah.
have if you have a little time.
Yeah, if you're okay with touching on your COVID experience.
Currently, my roommates are both sick because they probably got it from me, even
Oh.
though we were extremely careful too, which is really frustrating. Yeah, I think the shit's just really contagious. I think it's almost next to impossible if you're in any kind of if you're remotely close to anybody, you're probably gonna get it.
So there might be hope for me because I live out in the middle of nowhere in Texas, literally.
Yes. Yeah, there's a little give and take. Like,
Yeah.
New York we're all crammed together, so yeah, we're probably all gonna get sick. But we have great hospitals, so if you do get sick,
Yeah.
not too bad.
Where I have
Like,
to
if you're-
drive an hour to go
Yeah,
to
if you're in the
a
middle of
hospital.
nowhere, probably not gonna get sick. But if you do, that's a long way to drive with a fever. Like, so it's
Yeah.
like,
And,
so
I,
it's
and,
like,
I, and I don't have health insurance, so to be honest, let's face it, if I caught COVID, I'm probably a dead man.
But honestly, my experience was pretty mild. I had very, very mild symptoms. I had no fever.
Have your taste buds returned yet?
Kinda. I can taste things now. It's not nearly with the depth that I could before, but I can at least perceive flavors at this point.
Oh,
That
okay.
that was actually the first thing I lost was my sense of taste and smell, and it was extremely funny because it was like how severe I had lost my taste and smell. Like, it was to the point where like a red wine tasted like water. Like I could literally perceive no flavor from it. It was something as bitter as like a red, and it just tasted like nothing. I couldn't even perceive the alcohol burn. So like it was
Wow, really? Not even the burn?
it was actually quite funny. No, I never got that sick. I did get some pretty worrisome chest fibrosis, or whatever the hell it's called, where it felt like I was breathing through a fucking sponge.
Yeah.
My roommates are of the opinion I probably should have gotten checked out when it got that bad. But again, I wasn't running a fever, and Dayquil cleared it up. So I was like, feels like a non-hospital kind of scenario if Dayquil helps. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like
Well, and that's just something I've been seeing in the news when it comes to it is like there's people who are like yourself who their symptoms are very mild. And then there's people who are like debilitary, dying, and now their immune system is so weak that they caught pneumonia like it was nothing. You know?
No, actually, like he's much sicker than I am. Like he's been in bed for days. He's not like on deathbed. He has like basically flu symptoms, but
Yeah.
he's not having a good time with it. He's tired. He's weak. He's been running a fever, and he's sleeping all the time. And
Are you and your roommates trying to like look after each other, kind of?
I mean, that's frankly probably how they got it. Because even though I was sequestered in my own room and I wasn't, didn't
Yeah.
talk to them for days, they still like leave things by my door when I needed to eat and stuff, and they
Yeah.
would wear gloves and and everything, but they still managed to get it. But
God, I hate this virus because, I have people that I care about that I'm worried about it, because I have family members that have like, that that have immune diseases, they're, so like for me that's the big worry. I don't know about you because I don't think you live anywhere near your family.
I don't. My family lives 200 miles away, but there are people in my family who aren't the healthiest people in the world, and I would certainly feel awful had I been the one to give it to them. Much less, I certainly wouldn't want to risk it. Like, there's a girl at work. She's a friend of mine. She's really sweet, and she has diabetes. So it's like,
You're like, oh shit, I gotta stay away.
Yeah, no, she's perfectly healthy. She manages it completely fine, but even still, like, that's considered an immunodeficiency, and it's like,
Yeah.
you can't. The fact that she reports to work to go, and then like here I am, like, oh, hey boss, I don't feel so good. I'm good. like it's like, because I feel terrible if she got sick, like, because
Yeah.
I could tank it pretty well. I'm in pretty good. I'm in good shape. I'm pretty healthy, all considering. Like, so
Yeah.
I was fine.
MBT made a joke about you were working out or something before you
Uh,
caught it. Like
I
he was
was.
like, yeah, he made a joke about you looking swole.
I've lost some muscle mass in the last couple of months because I haven't been able to go to a gym, and when I got sick, that I couldn't even do my home workout, and that has been a point of contention with myself. I'm very upset about that. 'Cause I was actually pretty proud of myself for sticking with it for like a year and change. So,
Well, and
God damn
on the bright side, at least you're not a chubby guy like me. So I'm just saying, like,
yeah, I mean, I've always been pretty skinny, but like, it was nice to not look like a little
twig.
12-year-old boy. And I was really proud of myself, and then I lost half of it. Still stronger than I ever was prior, but I'm.
Oh man, that's wild. Well, for what it's worth, though, I am glad that you're on the upside of this. You know what I mean? For what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm essentially fine at this point. I just have to get through the next month or two of dealing with slightly reduced lung capacity. Like, even doing my workout earlier, I noticed that it kind of hurts to breathe really hard. That's kind of fun.
Well, are you gonna just kind of stick with it till your breathing returns to, or as close to normal as you can get it? Because I read somewhere that some people, like, it's permanent damage.
I mean, like I said, I didn't get that sick, so I'd be very hard pressed to think that it really did that much of a number on me. But I could only assume that sitting on my ass and doing nothing is probably not going to help anything. I probably should maybe not kill myself at the gym, but certainly try to strengthen my lungs back up. I think could only hurt, or could only help. Really hurt.
Well, wouldn't that be like cardio would be the best thing for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know that my PE education wasn't wasted. So like that was the thing that I was like, but outside of being like actually catching it and all that stuff, before you actually caught it, was your life any really different beforehand?
Not
like,
really.
Since the pandemic situation started?
I was still reporting to work. If anything, it only improved because people would leave me alone at work more often because they had to like wear all their stuff to come talk to me. So it's like,
they're like, oh, I'd rather just stay over here instead of
go validate for about something. So that was kind of nice. And I had never been able to make my commute in under 30 minutes before, so that was awesome. I was getting up much later and getting home much earlier, and it was just freaking great. Like,
you were like, wow.
I wish this had happened sooner. Like, fuck.
So when you were commuting, what was something that you would do for the time? Did you like listen to podcasts or something on your way home, or to?
I was doing audiobooks.
Oh, okay. Anything interesting?
I got through all the Witcher series.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they even had an audiobook for it. I knew about the show on Netflix.
Yes, they have an audiobook series for all the novels. And I'm in the middle of Mistborn right now. It's interesting.
I have only know a little bit about the video games, and I have obviously watched all the Netflix series because on my other YouTube channel it's become a Netflix review channel essentially. So hey, whatever. And for some reason people seem to like that channel gained 100 subs when I started doing Netflix reviews, so whatever. I'm not gonna complain. It's still a smaller channel. It's like 200 subscribers, but that's whatever. That's the side channel now. That's the channel that used to be my Yu-Gi-Oh channel when I was working at Walmart.
Ah, gotcha.
So that's but well, anyway, the other thing that I want to kind of get your opinions on, especially with this whole COVID situation, is how it's affected the Yu-Gi-Oh game. And I just wanted to know what are your thoughts about on the lack of tournaments or anything like that. Like, do you have any opinions on that?
I mean, it is what it is. I really don't think going to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament's worth catching this stuff. I can tell you that. Even though I didn't get that sick, I still would not wish it upon anybody because it isn't fun. Um,
Do you think that the Yu-Gi-Oh game will survive this pandemic?
I think it's fine. Konami would 100%. If they felt, they would tell. They'd be the first ones to say that it's dead because like for instance, Duel Links makes them money hand over fist. Like
So basically, yeah. So Duel Links would push the game to survive at least.
yeah, so it's like they if it makes them money, they don't seem to care too much.
Okay.
They balked all the products releases for like North America back, which is a little weird. And not having, and it's like the fact that we're like getting close to a expected ban list, and we haven't had like a real official event between since the last one.
But yeah, the only thing that we've got is a few OCG tournaments because the rest of the world doesn't seem to have COVID as big of a problem as the United States, which I won't go into that for political reasons.
But
because they're related to political reasons. That's
fair
you know what I
enough.
meant. You know what I meant. But I won't go into that. But the thing is like, so that's all we have. We have some OCG tournaments, and they don't even have the same list as we do. And then we have that one.
That doesn't really count.
Yeah, and then we
The thing,
have the online tournaments, including the remote duel one.
how many of those have they even done?
We've only got the one remote duel, and then there's tons of like other like SEMO has his thing. I know PPG has like an online thing on dueling using dueling books. So there we've got a few online tournaments. MCOL 40 has been using a lot of that data to make videos about the meta. So
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's a little different. Like, people were ragging on Farfa for misplaying on like the stream for like I think he resolved. I think it was Foolish Burial while his opponent had like Herald of Arc Light on board, or which is a macrocosmos. They shouldn't have been able to do that. But like in his defense, it's like playing with like cameras pointed at your shit is weird. Like I don't know.
It's not the same mindset.
No, there's something about being able to like glance up and seeing your opponents physically, like their cards are like 2 feet away from you, like that. Like just it's easier to keep track of the board state. Like
because if you look away from the screen for a split second, you forget it's there.
Yeah, it's like a weird disconnect that I don't think it's a particularly accurate representation of actual gameplay, because like it's the same thing. The problem that Dueling Book and EDO Pro have is where it's close, but it's not perfect. Like
personally, I like EDO Pro better for the automated system.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because there are less mistakes. You know what I mean? Like unless and if there is a mistake, it's not my fault. It's Edo Pro's fault.
Yeah, well, like I know it's definitely like the only thing is it does kind of coach you in a little bit. Like it's like, oh hey, by the way, you can make this. There's an effect in your graveyard you can activate, and you're like, oh shit, I forgot that I could even able to even do that. Like so, it's kind of coaching you a little, and that's a little.
Yeah.
And then like Dueling Book is like it's just wonky as hell. Like it's just clumsy. So it's like because so.
And
not
exactly. And you have to do like certain card movements to do certain things. Like I remember people used to have to exceed in a weird way.
Yeah, and I hate it. But the thing is, it's like no online structure is perfect.
Yeah.
None of them are a perfect analogy for an actual real duel. So it's like they're all a little wonky to take any data without a grain of salt.
Yeah. So okay. So that being said, what is something that you're like when it comes to like let's say for example in my case, because I live in the boondocks in Texas, right? So I live in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? The boonies is what I'm trying to say. So I'm literally like an hour from Fort Worth in a small town. You know what I mean? So that's like the Dallas, like where House of Champs lives. I'm literally like an hour away drive, and like ironically that's where I would have to go if I got sick. I have to go to the hospital in that city. So the point that I'm getting at is I live far away from a city. Like the closest town to me is like a 20-minute drive. You know, so the point that I'm getting at is like so Edo Pro is kind of and Dueling Book to a lesser extent because I don't really like Dueling Book are kind of my only tools for testing. Now I got friends that I can call up and fellow Yugi tubers that I'm friends with now that I can call up and say, hey, let's play some games on Edo Pro.
Fair enough.
how much of that can I take into account when I want to know if a deck is decent or not? Like, is there a curve that I should say? Okay, like, yes, this person beat me, but maybe this deck is still good type of thing? Or should I just consider every deck I use bad?
I don't know.
What are your thoughts on that?
Like for instance, EDO Pro is weird because it shuffles really well. It shuffles because it's using a computer to do it, and I feel I draw worse on EDO Pro than I do in real life with the same deck list, which implies that the problem is my ability to shuffle a true shuffle. So, like, everyone just kind of, but like maybe I don't think none of us really know how to shuffle particularly well, and we don't get a true shuffle out of our deck, and cards get lumped together, and our hands end up being better for it. So, like, honestly, I would say that a EDO Pro is literally a worst case scenario for your deck. Like, your opponent's getting coached in how to beat you. It's telegraphing their hand traps and your hand traps, because, like, I play something and it doesn't pause at all. I just keep slapping cards down. They must not have a hand trap. But, like, I play something, and all of a sudden it's waiting for a second, and then I can do stuff again. They have Ash Blossom. So it's like, it does a lot to coach and telegraph things. And if you can still win in a duel with EDO Pro, that means that your technical play and your deck building is actually probably superior, because you had a lot going against you, and you still won. So it also means that if you lose, you would take it with a grain of salt, because some people just play better with real cards. Like, my technical play is far better with real cards. I actually can think through my combos much better. I don't know what it is.
In my personal experiences, I actually don't forget stuff in the graveyard when I play in real life. Even though Edo Pro, like, tells me, oh yeah, by the way, you have a miscellaneous Saurus in the graveyard that can go off. I'm like, I usually don't forget that when I play in real life. So for me, I think I just kind of I make note of that personally more when I play in real life, and then on Edo Pro, I kind of go, like, depending on the deck I'm piloting or what the purpose of that I'm playing the deck, because as of late I don't really get to play Yu-Gi-Oh for me.
Fair enough.
Being a Yu-Gi tuber, I'm sure you can relate.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like, so if I'm, it just depends. Like, like, most of the time I'm semi on autopilot. You know what I mean? I'll have, like, YouTube or Netflix going on in the background, and I'm just kind of like, okay, play this, play this, play this. Oh, I can play that, cool, play that, that kind of thing. So, and one of the other things I was talking about is playing Yu-Gi-Oh for yourself versus playing for your content. Since I kind of brought that up, is that a point of frustration for you at all?
It certainly used to be. Like, when the channel was growing and it's much smaller, I would make a point to play, like, every meta deck, at least have a tertiary knowledge of how they function, and like, I really made a point to sit down and test just everything, or test against at least everything. And now I just don't give a fuck. but like, yes, there was a point where Yu-Gi-Oh became a job, and I hated it, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm just playing for me now, because that's kind of why I've steered away from deck profiles, because I was like, fuck this. I'm not going to sit and test a deck I don't enjoy just because it'll make me views, because it'll come through on the content, number one, and number two, it's just work, and I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, this will be like one of the last points I want to touch on, so that way I don't take up too much more of your time, which I'm appreciative that you've given this much to me to begin with.
No, it's been nice talking to you, so I don't mind too much.
Oh, okay, cool.
I do mind a little, though.
Oh, okay. But I was gonna say is, like, personally, like, I was wanting to talk about that frustration, because I feel like sometimes I play a deck and for me it's good enough. Like, for example, I have all these various decks and engines in my own personal collection.
Fair
and
enough.
For me, like, if I have like a 60% win rate on Edo Pro with a deck, for me that's good enough for me. But
Okay.
you know what I mean? That means I won more games than I lost. That's good enough for me. I mean, it's still close to 50-50, but you get the point.
Yes.
Yeah. But I always feel like that's not good enough for my audience. Like, they need something that's like an 80 or 90% win rate.
Yeah, I hate that. It's one of the reasons why I do decks so sparingly, because even when I have a good idea, I never want to post it till I'm like 1,000% sure that it's perfect. And I don't know if decks really ever can be perfect.
Yeah. I just want to get them as good as they can for the audience, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, so I have trouble posting something that I don't feel is complete, and that always annoying me because it's always like you go on EDO Pro and it's like, oh, there's a OCG card coming out in 2 months that would fix this deck and do so. It's like, do I post it now or like do I wait? Like I hate that. Like it never feels like the deck is done, regardless of what I'm doing. Like it's
the same vein for me. So I always just wondered if that was something that you experienced as well, because I was like, especially since
it drives me fucking batty. That's why I just don't do it anymore. It's like,
I mean, I literally have like boxes and stacks of cards out here right now from me just messing with my decks, because I have like 10 decks that I like mess around with here and there. You know,
I know, and I almost don't care when I'm playing with my friends. I'll play any fucking jank I decided to throw together, because half the time I don't have all the cards anyway.
Yeah.
So like that's never bothered me, but posting it online, like I really want it to be perfect, and half the time it never is, and it drives me nuts.
Or I feel like you're like, for example, if it's a personal deck, like for example, if I play Dark Magician or Blue Eyes, because I own some of those cards, I feel pressured to kind of play them as if how would I play them with what I have? I'm very much like that. And then sometimes I have to remind myself for my audience that they're not going to like that. Or they will. I mean, some of them will. Some of them will be like, oh, that's kind of neat that you thought to throw Danger Dogman in there, make Spark Dragon, and go into something like that. You know, something silly like that. There's always somebody that appreciates the wackiness, right?
Yes.
But there's also going to be that one player who's like, that's not what I'm looking for. I want a Blue Eyes deck that's like,
gonna work.
Yeah, smack down that meta. And I'm like, you're going to need a lot more expensive cards than what I have to showcase you. So
and like that's why I like doing my decks with real cards, because I think EDO Pro deck profiles can kind of be visually boring because nothing really happens. It's just, this is the deck, shows the screen.
Yeah.
I'll do them once in a while because sometimes I have to, but
yeah,
I'd much rather do a deck profile with real cards.
Yeah.
And that's just like requires you to own expensive cards.
Yeah. And instead, then you have guys like me who are like, okay, let me look at my jank here and try to figure out, like, you'll see like a Dark Magician deck playing like Champion's Vigilance or something. It's like, yeah. And the audience is all like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
I'm poor. That's the problem.
I'm poor.
At least I'm honest about it. I mean, I do not have a lot of money. I mean, that's one of the reasons why my personal goal is to get YouTube to be a job for me. I mean, I'm sure for you that probably sounds a little bit silly, but
Oh no, I'd rather be doing this than anything else. Trust me. If I could do it, I would, because I actually, sometimes I'm a little grumpy about stuff, but I actually do prefer. Like if I could, I would 100% do this as an actual job, because I actually enjoy video making. Like I just like it.
But you also have to be realistic about certain things.
Yes.
So and let's face it, our living situations are probably much different. Like, you're on your own, you're with roommates. Since this whole pandemic situation, I am living with family right now. So they're like, well, since you're, I have my own arrangement with them. I pay rent to live here, but let's face it, I'm not paying anywhere near what you're paying for rent.
Probably not.
You know what I mean? So
I would think your family were a bunch of jerks had you been paying what I'm paying.
Yeah.
Like.
So needless to say,
I bet this is probably more than their mortgage.
Yeah.
Fucking New York.
Yeah, and I'm lucky enough that I'm living with family for this whole situation. So I still have some human interaction, although all of us are working, you know what I mean, in different stuff. So I have a lot more time to throw into this. So, and they and they're encouraging me to try to turn this into a job, because I've been working on it for so long. They're like,
you might as well, because like I said, I know I'd be a lot more successful with the whole thing had I had the time to do it. So it's like,
yeah. So, and since I have the backing, since the family's backing me kind of right now.
Go for it.
Yeah, so that is, and although I'll be able to admit sometimes that's a little embarrassing to admit, because like, when you're 30, you expect to be on your own, but
but
life happens. That's all I can say on that front.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta say this. I have noticed from a lot of like my fellow YouTubers, especially those of us who are older, like yourself and I, who are 30, or like Sam and Tyler, who are close to that age. A lot of y'all are a lot more understanding than I think that I would get if I was talking to like a 19-year-old about some of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is that if you're like 25 or older, you've probably been playing the game since it started.
Yeah.
So there's like, it's not just I get the YouTube hustle. It's also I get the Yu-Gi-Oh hustle. So it's like I get it. Like
yeah, and
this game's been a mess since the start.
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah. And to think that there was one point in time in the game where we all got pissed off at Mirror Force.
Right? Like, geez, I wish we were still playing a format like that.
Likewise. Well, I think that's all. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. I think I've had you for like what 2 hours now or close to.
So, an hour and a half, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure you're a busy guy and you've got more important things to do than chat with me. So, I just want to say before we get out of here, thank you for doing this. I'm very appreciative.
No, it was fun.
I just, for the audience out there who's watching this, make sure you go say hi to Dave on his channel, because he didn't have to do this, and help a small guy like me out. So go like his newest video, whatever it is. I don't care. I want all 800 of my subs to go over to his channel and just destroy his like buttons.
Or my dislike button. I actually don't think it matters.
Well, I prefer positive reinforcement, so I'm going to tell them the like button. Go ahead.
Sure. Maybe you want to leave a bad comment about how like I'm a poop head or something. I wouldn't care one way or the other.
So that's all I'm gonna say for that is just all my audience members, please go over there and go give Dave some love for doing this, because he didn't have to, and I just want everyone to know I'm appreciative. So thank you so much for this. And guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if this is the first time you're seeing it. Hi, I'm Ben1000. I'm your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero. This is Dave, my future sidekick, but don't tell him that. I'm just kidding. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.